Hey everyone! This week I have finally been able to dedicate some time again to the character I was creating for the Unreal Marketplace. Last week, my MacBook Pro 16 died for the second time in 2 years. And not being covered by the warranty, I decided to make it my last Mac after 30 years of using them. As if the financial loss wasn't enough, not having a computer added even more stress to my work situation. As I travel a lot, a desktop computer was not an option, so after much thought, I decided to buy the Asus ROG Scar Strix 15. This week I have been working on the new computer, and the truth is that the transition is being easier than I expected. Back to our character, I started with the texturing. So let's get started. To texture all my characters, I use Substance Painter. It's kind of like Photoshop for 3D painting. The program has quite a few bugs, but once you learn to work around them, it doesn't really work that bad. For hyper-realistic characters, I use 3D scans as a starting point, which allows me to get more realistic results. Learning to texture is a mix of artistic sensibility and technical knowledge. Both can be learned and over time become part of the process naturally. For accessories and clothing, I basically use two websites, the Substance Painter source and GameTextures.com. Both are paid, but their library of materials is incredible. I leave the links in the description if you want to take a look. The secret of texturing is not only finding the right materials, but in giving them those imperfections that make them look real. For this, I use several techniques that basically are the dirt generator that simulates dust accumulated in the cavities and the metal edge that simulates the wear of the edges. Along with these two generators, I use color variation and roughness variation, as such variation is vital to give your textures a backstory. It is essential to convey whether the object is new, if it has been used, etc. A very important part of storytelling is visual, and depends on how well our textures and models help support the story we want to tell. In my texturing process, I like to check in Marmoset how it looks like. I use Marmoset because it has an auto-update system that makes it very fast iteration to make a change and visualize it. The real-time rendering in Substance, I find that it's too similar to the result you would get in a photo studio, which, although it's usually realistic, it's unlikely as those light conditions don't happen on the street on a day-to-day basis. Light neutrality is good for texturing, but the final result usually differs a lot when you use different lighting in the game engines. So I usually check my textures in Marmoset and make the appropriate adjustments. Finally, I finished making the last adjustments and checks in the Unreal Engine. In our case, the character is almost ready. Now we need to do the rigging to make it compatible with the Unreal 5 skeleton. For this, I have decided to look for a rigger instead of doing it myself, because I want the character to be AAA quality. I have contacted several freelancers on Fiverr and BlenderArtist.com. So next week, we will review the results and see who has done the best job. Until then, thanks a lot for watching and have a great week.